So I'm delighted this afternoon to be with Andy Bargery of the Coronet Group. Andy, huge thanks for joining myself. Huge thanks to the listeners as well. And Andy, you've got some exciting new developments which have taken place in the last couple of weeks involved in the service accommodation arena. Would you just like to share that with the listeners out there, what the excitement and development is?
Yeah, absolutely, Brendan. Thanks for asking. So we've launched a brand called Butler and Noble, and it is a serviced accommodation brand aimed at corporate travellers within the UK. And we've created the marketing vehicle to help landlords and investors to really make their investments in property to really generate a good return.
Sure. Okay, so what made you create that brand or co-create that brand?
Well, you're right. It is a co-creation. There's three of us in the team. And the reason why we wanted to do that was to exploit the opportunity in short-term stay, short-term accommodation, and to help landlords that want to move away from ASTs and all the nightmare around Section 24 and all that sort of stuff. Some of that can be avoided by taking the serviced accommodation route. And so we've created that vehicle to use our own assets and to use landlords' assets to generate a return.
And maybe at some other point we can go into a little bit more detail about that particular creation.
Yeah, absolutely happy to, Brendan. Yeah, definitely.
Andy, I'll be catching up with you tomorrow, which is the 2nd of May. Can't believe it's May already.
No, the year's flying.
Yeah, so 40% of the year has gone. I was reading, someone wrote online. It's interesting to consider that 40% of the year has gone, so that means only 60% of waiting until the summit comes in 2019. But before we go into the summit of 2019, tomorrow you're going to be sharing to my members, just my annual subscribers, about how to effectively position. Do you want to just elaborate on that a little bit more?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things I did for you recently at your evening meetup was to look at creating an elevator pitch and how you articulate what it is that you're doing to your core audiences or your target audiences to get them to engage with you. So we'll be looking at that exercise again tomorrow as a way to create positioning statements or elevator pitches to help people to better articulate what it is that they're doing and who it's relevant to.
So that's just for my annual subscribers. I know you're going to be joined by Augusta Yonke Illumia, who's going to be focusing on the finance side. Just to go into a little bit more detail about June, Andy, I know you're going to be on my panel along with Brad Lazarus and Ryan Carruthers, and maybe one or two others to be fair, which will focus on branding. What will you be sharing on the panel? What do you hope some of those key questions will be?
Well, I'm hoping that people will come to the panel armed with questions around how do they set up, create, optimize, or run a brand to help them grow their property businesses. And it's one of those topics where there's a lot of information available, but it's not always easy to digest it. So if you've got queries or questions around how do you create your brand, then I'd be more than happy to try and answer those on the panel. So if you're new to branding, you've created a new business, a new company, and you want to tell your brand, your story better, then hopefully you'll get some value out of that panel. And having spoken to Ryan and met with Brad recently, those guys are really switched on as well. So hopefully as a panel, we're going to add some real value for your audience.
And Andy, just a third question. So I did briefly mention the summit, and I'm sure over the next few months, in fact, over the next 8 months, I'll be going, into more depth with those presenting, those speaking. I know you were at my last summit as well. What do you hope, or what are you looking forward to getting from the summit of 2019, January the 19th?
Yeah, well, it's in my diary. I'm looking forward to it. I think there's two things. One is the networking. I've really enjoyed meeting some smart investors at your meetups, and of course at the summit this year. But also content-wise, I'm hoping you're going to have some content around exit strategies. How can you make sure that when you've completed your development that you make the best return out of that? That'll be a really interesting topic to hear. And also just to see examples of developers and investors that are doing it really well. What can I learn from those that are already forging ahead and making lots of profits from property investment?
Andy, I just want to say huge thanks for taking time out today. I know I will catch up with you tomorrow for the
Looking
second
forward to
day.
it.
And then in June at the Central London Evening Property Network, which is on the fourth Thursday of the month. And then in January 2019. Andy, how
Perfect.
can people connect with you?
Oh, I'm easy to find. If you just Google Andy Bargery, I'm the one that's not the motor racing driver. So if you do that, you'll find me on Twitter, you'll find me on all over the place online. So I'm easy to connect with.
So Andy, huge thanks for joining myself. A huge thanks to my listeners as well. Thank you.
Thanks, Brendan.